Hey, what's up? This is Metal Horror Gamer, and this is my first review on this channel, and I figured I would start with a game that would be a little bit faster and easier to record and review before I move into more modern games that might take a little bit longer. And I might as well start with the game very near and dear to my childhood. It's The Adventures of Batman and Robin. There's actually 4 versions of this game. There's one on the Super NES, Genesis, Game Gear, and Sega CD. The 2 main versions are obviously the Super NES and the Genesis, and these are completely 2 different games. Unlike now, where if you buy a game on Xbox or PlayStation, it's the exact same game for the most part. But back then, it wasn't very uncommon for the same games to be different on different platforms. These 2 versions are nowhere near being the same game. The version on the Super NES was developed by Konami. It's a more slower paced beat 'em up where Batman can take full advantage of his gadgets. The art and music follows closely to the animated series, which it's based off of. For me, the downside is that it can be really slow, and it's only single player, but it's still a fun game, and it's much more forgiving. But I'm gonna review the one I actually owned back in the day, which is the Sega Genesis version. It was developed by Clockwork Tortoise. Who? Yeah, I know, but anyways, this version is the exact opposite of the Super NES version. It's a fast-paced shoot 'em up, beat 'em up action game. It has a very arcadey feel to it. It's a 2-player game, which is a good thing. They are both great games, but it just depends on what style is better for you, or which one you owned as a kid. Now, let's get into this game. There's not really much of a story for this, but it goes as follows. Mr. Freeze breaks out the Joker, Two-Face, and the Mad Hatter out of Arkham Asylum, and it's up to Batman and Robin to stop them and send them back. Like I said, the gameplay is very arcade-like. You can choose from either Batman or Robin. Now, since when I was a kid, I was usually player 2, so I played as Robin most of the time. And that was okay because I like Robin. Even though now when I play by myself, I can actually pick Batman, I still usually end up picking Robin. It's just a habit. Now, pretty much the controls are simple, and you just move to the left and right and beat up everything in your way. You don't really fight with your fists, which is weird because that is what Batman usually does, but instead you have unlimited batarangs that come in 3 different colors. These all work different, and if you keep getting the same color, it keeps powering up. These different colors can be powered up at least 6 times, but I can usually only get to power level 4 before I die and lose it. I didn't even know it went up to 6 times until I read up on it. The red batarangs has a medium strength and a medium recharge time, and the throw speed is fast. At a certain level, it becomes like the spread gun where you can throw 3 at a time. This power up is very handy, especially for the boss fights. The blue batarangs are not even batarangs, they are shurikens, and they are the weakest power up. It's the one I hardly ever use, I hate using it. But they have the fastest recharge time, and the throw speed is fast. At certain levels, you can also throw up to 3 at one time. Then there's the green batarangs, which aren't really batarangs, but I don't know what they are, so I call it batarangs. It's the strongest power up. It has the slowest recharge and speed. Usually, I like this one, because I like green, and it is strong, but the red one probably is the best choice. And the green one, it does not spread at any level. It just gets bigger and stronger. Now, there are these little destruction globes that have a skull on them. It's pretty much a bomb that kills everyone on screen. These are useful in tight situations, and you will be in tight situations for pretty much the whole game. There are extra lives that are globes with Batman's face on it, but I find these are very rare in the game. I can almost never find one. In a playthrough, I can usually find 2. Then there's the supercharger power up that charges up your charge bar faster for a short period of time. To replenish your health, you have to collect hearts. There's 2 kinds. There are the little hearts that are pretty much scattered all over the place, and then there's a big heart. So now it's obvious the little hearts give you little health and the big heart gives you a bigger amount of health. This game, you only get 3 lives before you have to use a continue, which you only get 6. Now, this game seems simple enough, but I must tell you that this game is anything but simple. To this day, I have never beaten this game legit, and I wouldn't believe anyone if they said they beat it legit unless I see it, because this game is balls to the wall hard. You have to be skilled, have fast reflexes, and have a lot of luck on your side. The first stages belong to the Joker, and they aren't very hard at all. The clowns that slide and the clowns that shoot projectiles are kind of cheap, but for the most part, they are pretty easy to handle. and the boss fights with Harley and the Joker are pretty simple too. But after that, the game just throws out all its compassion for the player and just decides it wants you dead. The rest of the game is littered with cheap gameplay designs such as flying levels and jetpack levels filled to the brim with cheap enemies that are almost impossible to dodge, and boss fights that just seem to last way too long and force you to be on your toes at all times. All of the Two-Face levels, except the first part, are all flying missions. They are all overly long, and there are so many enemies flying around shooting these little pellets, and they're shooting so many pellets that there's almost no empty spots on the screen. It's pretty much impossible to keep dodging them. You will get hit multiple times, and you will die a lot. This goes on for 4 stages straight. It's just an onslaught of enemies, bosses, multiple bosses, and just tons and tons and tons and tons of enemies. I can imagine a lot of players never got past the Two-Face stage. I don't know how me and my brother did it back in the day without cheating. We did it all the time. I don't know how we did, because now when I play it now, I don't know how. I don't know how I did it. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. The jetpack levels are not fun. Those are probably the worst levels in the game. They are bullshit, and they feel unfair for the most part. It feels more sluggish than the Two-Face flying stages. At least there you had speed. This one you just feel slow and sluggish, and it's not good. The level feels real tiny. There's almost no room to dodge. They put too many enemies on screen, and they always corner you into bad positions that pretty much make dodging impossible. All the enemies feel unfair in their attack patterns, and it seems like the only good enemies that are fun but still challenging are on the Joker stages. After that, they are all complete bullshit. This game will make you pull out your hair, and having a second player won't make it that much easier. It's still hard either way. The whole game after the Joker stage feels like a never-ending gauntlet that just never seems to play fair or even give you time to breathe. You have to be on your toes the whole game. This is true hardcore gaming in a nutshell. You will die and see the game over screen a lot. Once you run out of lives, you can just use the skip level code to skip all the way back to where you died at. Just press start, BA down, left up C. I know, this is truly why I believe that a lot of people seem to like the Super NES version better, because it's more fair than this game. But even with all the cheapness of this game, there are still positives here. As hard as that may be to believe, yes, there is still positives. It's no lie, this game is hard. This game is brutally hard, but at the same time, it is still very fun, especially with 2 players. That's why this game doesn't suck. It's just so damn fun, even though the difficulty is complete and utter bullshit. The level art design is fantastic, and a lot of these stages are very creative, especially in the Mad Hatter stages. All the levels are completely varied, in their artwork, except for the Two-Face stages, because like I said, you're just flying through the sky the whole time, so that's boring. Surprisingly, the graphics still hold up to this day. They are very impressive, and it shows why I love the 16-bit era. Most games back then had a lot of charm to them. It's still amazing to look at, and it still blows my mind away. The Mad Hatter boss fight is amazing to see. That's blast processing for you. It's beautiful. I've never seen a stage look as cool as that ever in any game. You have to hit him and hit the enemies he throws out of his hat while dodging them and dodging all these walls that are coming at you at super fast speeds. It is one hectic boss fight, and it's crazy and it's hard, but it's so fucking cool and fun. And another thing that keeps this game going is its soundtrack. It has to be one of my favorite soundtracks ever in a video game. It's like industrial techno music, but it matches the intensity of the gameplay perfectly. My favorite track is Joker's boss fight track. I love that song. It's amazing. Thank God this game was never an arcade game, because a lot of people would have gone broke from this game. You will die a lot, but even with all the cheapness, this game is still great because of everything I mentioned before. It looks great, the soundtrack keeps you pumped up for each battle, the graphics look great, the level art never feels generic or the same. Every stage is completely different except the Two-Face stages, with lots of fun but challenging boss fights. Plus, it allows 2 players. It makes sense to be called Batman and Robin. unlike the Super NES version where you can only play as Batman. Playing with someone makes this game twice as fun. Seriously, me and my older brother used to play this game all the time. Playing legit, mind you. We used to always get to the last boss, Mr. Freeze, but he's so cheap and we usually had no more lives left, we could never beat him. It was very frustrating to always get that far and always lose. It really was. This game does have an opening and ending cinematic. It's nothing that amazing, but for back then it was pretty cool, and even now it still gets the point across and looks nice. I just want to ask the developers one question. What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you add so much cheapness to this fucking game? What, are you guys masochists? Do you guys just, I don't understand. I believe you guys knew you could get away with the difficulty because of how much fun this game is and how good everything looks and sounds. You dirty bastards. Now, with all that being said, do I recommend this game? Well, it's kind of hard to. If you like old school games and want a real challenge that will piss you off, but at the same time still be able to have lots of fun by yourself or with the second player and see all the cool stages with all the awesome music, then I would say check it out. No harm done, for the most part. But if you grew up from the PS2 era and up, then I would have a hard time recommending it, just because most of the gamers that grew up with those games don't seem to be as skilled, just because all the games started to be dumbed down just to give players a feeling of instant gratification. This is hardcore gaming. I would have to say this is one of the hardest games ever created, and most definitely one of the hardest games I've ever played. It's not to be taken lightly. It demands your respect, and it doesn't have time for players who are gonna cry and complain because it's too hard. This game does not give a fuck about your feelings. It wants you to get good at it, and if you don't get good at it, it will chew you up and spit you out. I could definitely recommend it. It's still a blast to play. Even to this day, I still enjoy it. And I don't think that's just because of nostalgia. The game is just actually fun. It really is. But if you're not up for the challenge, then just go on ahead and pass it by, because this may not be the game for you. You can get it on eBay for a pretty low price. It's a fairly common game, so it's not very expensive. Or you can just use an emulator and get the ROM for free. I recorded this gameplay with an emulator just because it's easier to do so, but I do actually have the real cartridge. So that's The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega Genesis. It's a game that has a lot of charm when it comes to graphics, art, and music. The gameplay is very simple to learn, but extremely hard to master. So if you really want to test your skills as a gamer, give this game a playthrough. Even with all the bullshit, it's still fun and quite a spectacle to behold, and your ears will thank you. So this was my first review for this channel. I will be doing more retro titles, but I also would like to get some more modern titles. If you have any recommendations of what types of games or what other games you like to see, let me know in the comments, and I will, if I have it, I will try to get to it. If I don't, then maybe I'll see about buying it later on. So this was Metal Horror Gamer, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.